Hey friends, it is Lane with Tim's Nation. I am here today to talk to you a little bit about the DeathWatch I'm playing this week into DJ's Necrons. Now, I had the DeathWatch on the channel a couple weeks ago, and in that list I was just kind of running all the different DeathWatch kill teams because we had a bunch of points drops. I didn't think all the kill teams are still super competitive. I know a lot of people like the Fortis and the Spectres kill teams, but I don't think they're super competitive. So this past weekend, I played in a small GT at North Coast Games here in Ohio, and 28 players is how we ended up with at the end of the 2 days. And this is the list I took into the GT. I'm going to do a separate video just talking through the tournament experience and talk about how they performed. You'll have to go check that video out to see the specifics. But we did pretty well, and I'll go into more detail about that in that video. But here, we'll talk about the list I ran. So this is DeathWatch and the Black Spear Task Force. So I've always loved the Watchmaster with the Thief of Secrets because, first of all, the Thief of Secrets is such a cool name for an enhancement. And second of all, it turns the Watchmaster into just an absolute beast. You just slap so hard with that. But what I usually would end up doing is putting with maybe 5 DeathWatch vets and put them in a Rhino. And then the Rhino, being the transport, gives them the extra 3 inches in disembark, plus the advance and charge gets them where they need to go. Definitely feel like I need that. And then with the points drops, I was like, well, now I could do a 10-man DeathWatch vets. Because really, the Watchmaster, he would go out, slap something really hard, maybe proc the Thief of Secrets extra buffs by killing a model, but then he usually died right away afterwards because he's attached to DeathWatch vets who are just toughest 4 2-wound Marines. Then with the points drops, I was like, I can run the same list I was running, except I could put a 10-man with the Watchmaster. So a Watchmaster with Thief of Secrets and a 10-man DeathWatch vets and a Rhino. And then I looked at the points for that. It's almost 400 points, guys. It's a lot of points. And I thought, what else can I do with 400 points? So I had to cut my baby. I had to get rid of my favorite little Watchmaster for this list. So I took out the Watchmaster and the Thief of Secrets, booted from the list. And with nearly 400 points I saved, I just threw in 2 Terminator squads. So I usually don't run DeathWatch Terminators in my competitive lists. They are good in so many ways, better than standard Marine Terminators in so many ways. But when you rely on their shooting, it can be disappointing just because those cyclone missiles, the crack missiles, are just so mid, as the kids would say. They are AP2, strength 9, D6 damage. If any one of those stats was a little better, maybe AP3 or strength 10 or D6 plus 1 damage, it'd be a lot more reliable. But as it is, they're just not great into either vehicles because of the low strength or into elite infantry because the variable number of damage. You shoot at 3 wound or 4 wound infantry, you're gonna roll some 1s and 2s on your damage. But I decided this time to try him just so I'd have something strong and durable to put in the middle because the Watchmaster, well, I liked how hard he would slap. Man, he would just get picked up after he went out there. He would go out, do some damage, and then be in the middle of the table and just get wrecked by my opponent's entire army. So, yeah, we replaced him with 2 Terminator squads for this past tournament that I did this past weekend. So we'll go through the list here and talk about it. The other thing, key thing, and probably the MVP unit from this GT was the Judiciar with Beacon and Jealous with a 10-man squad of DeathWatch vets all kitted out for fighting and punching. I've done it before on the channel, and I think a few other people have done it too. The Judiciar with Beacon and Jealous. The Beacon and Jealous gives his unit deep strike, and they can rapid ingress for free, meaning the Judiciar with a 10-man squad of DeathWatch vets, they can rapid ingress for free at the end of your opponent's movement phase. So if they're setting up a charge somewhere, you can set up a counter charge so that after they charge, you can heroic into them and fight first. And the DeathWatch vets just punch so hard that a lot of times they'll just wipe a light to medium infantry, a light to medium unit that goes into whatever they were trying to do. It's a huge trading point. Sometimes it's kind of tricky to rapid ingress them without getting them shot or put into a firing lane. But especially with this build, where there are some units that can punch, Indominators can punch a little bit. You know, the Terminators have a bunch of power fists and Thunderhammers. But having one dedicated melee unit that absolutely counters an opponent's melee unit is super strong, and the fact that it has built-in reroll ones to hit. It has a bunch of 3 damage heavy Thunderhammer hits, but also a bunch of AP2 Strength 5 Power Sword hits, plus the Judicar's attacks. Makes it really efficient. And of course, whenever it's buffing from the DeathWatch mission tactics, it's going to get juicy too. So I think that was my MVP unit from this past weekend. Other units performed very well too, but I think that one just got me the most value time after time. In one particular game, I was playing against someone who was running 3 units of Accursed Cultists with the Dark Communes. Those are hard units to deal with, but I rapid ingressed after he moved and set up a charge on my deployment zone objective, and heroiced in, and a full health Dark Commune squad. It's a lot to deal with. A bunch of 3 wound guys, a bunch of 1 wound guys. They've got a 5-up embalm. They get a 6-up feel no pain. But my DeathWatch vets slapped it down to just 3 of the big Cursed Cultists and the one character model. So that went from 21 models down to 4 after the Judicars fight first. That was a huge value there. And again, it was very useful in other games too. So let's go through the actual list here and let's talk through our DeathWatch. All right, this is exactly 2,000 points of DeathWatch in the Black Spear Task Force. So today, as I said, I left my Watchmaster with the Thief of Secrets behind. Oh, how I miss him. I will miss him sorely, but we did all right without him. So our characters, we do have the Captain in Gravis Armor. Captain in Gravis Armor is going to lead the Indomitor kill team, of course. Because he's a Space Marine captain, he gives his unit 1 reduced cost strat once per battle round. Super useful there. Plus his unit, plus he halves damage on himself, meaning he's super durable, which is kind of key sometimes because his unit might get wrecked, but then he might survive and then be able to do do some actions or score some points here and there. So the fact that he is very durable is helpful as well. He, of course, has the enhancement, the Tome of Ectoclades. I might be able to leave behind the Thief of Secrets, but I will not leave behind the Tome of Ectoclades. Tome of Ectoclades enhancement just means that once per game, I get to pick 2 oath targets. It's not sequential like Gilliman's, first one and the second one. It's just I have 2 that are active for 1 battle round. He does not have to be on the table. Previously in the index, he did have to be on the table, but now he doesn't, so I can uppy downy him, and even if he's in reserve, I can use the Tome of Ectoclades. As I've discussed before, we do have a Judicar with Fight First. Judicar gives his unit Fight First, and he has the enhancement Beacon and Jealous. So he punches all right by himself. His melee attacks are 5 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 7, AP2, 2 damage. Of course, with the DeathWatch veterans, he'll be rerolling 1s to hit all the time, which is handy. And the fact is that he has precision and devastating wounds, so he can snipe out some cheaper characters sometimes, or some less durable characters. Only 5 attacks. If he kills a character, he gets an extra attack, which is, I guess, neat. But really, we're here for the Fight First. He's going to give his unit Fight First. And the Beacon and Jealous, as we discussed, gives his unit Deep Strike, allows them to rapid ingress for free. So I can rapid ingress them, heroically intervene for 1 CP and Fight First. The fact that whole sequence only cost me 1 CP is huge value in DeathWatch. Moving on, we do have, and we're playing Space Marines, we're playing competitive, so that means we have a Lieutenant with Combi Weapon. Of course, no enhancements on him. If I had a few points, I would give him Thief of Secrets, which I think would be hilarious. But yeah, Combi Weapon Lieutenant, he gives you a damage buff in that you pick 1 objective at the start of the game, and anytime you attack an enemy unit that's on that objective, you reroll 1s to wound. Of course, as long as your lieutenant is still alive. But his other key thing is that he has Lone Op, he has Infiltrate, and he does have a 6-inch counter move. So if somebody moves with a 9, he gets to move 6 inches. That just means it's a great utility piece for scoring, controlling the board, blocking out deep strikes, standing on objectives against the gun line. A lot of utility for a 70-point model. So we've got him. Next, we have one 10-man squad of DeathWatch veterans. Oh, guys, I hope this is not the last ride of the DeathWatch vets. I really hope that the new Kill Team kit does not replace these, but I feel like that's going to be the case. So hopefully they go out with a bang today. We have a 10-man at the reduced points cost of 190 points now. The equipment, their ability is they reroll 1s to hit all the time. And if they're going into Xenos, they get full hit rerolls. Obviously, that will be relevant today as we are punching some Necrons with these guys. The loadout we have 4 DeathWatch Thunderhammers. The DeathWatch Thunderhammers are big boys. They hit on 4s, which is a bummer, but they are strength 10, AP2, flat 3 damage with dev wounds, which just gives them the ability to punch into some things. I played Blood Angels twice this past weekend, and I'll tell you what, Sanguinary Gadar did not like flat 3 damage dev wounds. They did not like that one bit. In the rest of the unit, we do have 1 frag cannon in here. I figured might as well have 1 gun. 1 gun's better than none. We have 4 guys with storm shields. 3 of them will have power swords, and 1 of them will have the Xenophase blade, which is just a power sword that gets an extra attack and dev wounds. And then we do have the black shield blades. That's twin-linked power swords in there as well. Always gives us a lot of the ability to punch up. I really find that this unit, you have to be careful with them because they are, again, just T4 2-wound Marines, which die really quick in the current meta. But the fact is that if you can rapid ingress them someplace safe, move them out there, slap something really good, especially if you can wait till your opponent doesn't have as many shooting threats against melee armies. The melee armies absolutely hate this unit just because that fight first with such a high damage output. And the built-in rerolls just give them that little extra bit of efficiency to make up for the fact that they might not get to pick what they're fighting into. But yeah, that's our DeathWatch vets. Always glad to have them here. Moving on, for non-battle line units, we do have 1 5-mana Assault Intercessors with jump packs. These guys are good for doing things. I don't think I have to talk about them too much. They're 12-inch move jump pack guys. They do impact mortals. They got a couple plasma pistols, 1 power fist, and a bunch of chain swords. So they're a decent little melee unit. Their move lets them get out there, get on objectives, score your points. Good to have these guys here. Speaking of things that are just there to score us a couple points, we do have 1 Invader ATV. Invader ATV is not bad for 60 points. It is mounted, so anti-vehicle stuff and anti-infantry stuff doesn't work into them. Sometimes you'd be surprised at how difficult it is for your opponent to take down this thing because it's toughness 5 with 8 wounds. And so even sometimes Eradicators struggle into it because they don't get their rerolls, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. Sometimes they just don't get the damage through. So it's nice to have something like this that has a little bit of durability. I'm running one with the multi-melted today. Let's move on to the big stuff here. We have, well, let's just get it out of the way. We got the DeathWatch Terminators. Usually when I run a competitive list, I don't have DeathWatch Terminators. But like I said, I decided to do this because I needed some kind of durability to stay on objectives and really draw my opponent out. My opponent's going to have to commit a lot to deal with the Terminators. So just because they're invulns, give them that extra durability, because in the squads, we've got 2 guys with 4 wounds, meaning even a lot of AP or 3 damage stuff isn't going to be very efficient into them, or D6 stuff isn't very efficient into them. Then they roll low. So that's why we're running 2 squads of Terminators today. So DeathWatch Terminators, they're special rules for 190 points for 5. They've got a very nice suite of rules and weapons here. So their rules, they of course have the Terminator or the teleport homer ability. So anytime they, I can set up some teleport homers on the table at the start of the game, and I can rapid ingress these guys onto those for free if they're within 3 inches. They still have to be outside of 9 of my opponent, but it's nice to have a free rapid ingress option in addition to the Judiciar. And then, so their DeathWatch Terminator rule is Terminatus Assault. They reroll charge rolls, which is really strong, especially for a unit that deep strikes usually to get into position. Getting free charge rerolls is strong. And once they complete a charge, the enemy unit has to take a battle shock test. And if it's Xenos, then they take -1 to that test. So it allows you to shut down some interrupts or some defensive strats, that kind of thing, by causing battle shocks. Now, as far as their loadout, because for DeathWatch, we get all sorts of cool weapons. You can take 3 heavy weapons in a DeathWatch Terminator squad, regardless of how big it is. So if you take a 10-man, it's still just 3 heavy weapons. But if you take a 5-man, you have 3 of the heavy weapons. I love the Cyclones. We're running Cyclones. Way back at the start of 10th edition, I ran assault cannons because our Tome of Excavators let us reroll the wound rolls as well, so we could fish for dev wounds, which was a lot of fun. But what we're doing here is the Cyclones, just because they do have 2 functions. They have either the 2 crack missiles each or the 2 frag missiles each. And I think the frag missile option was super useful this past weekend. Again, I ran into some accursed cultists with dark communes, just a bunch of wounds, and just being able to hit them with a whole bunch of blast shots a whole bunch of storm bolters, and then throw that anti-infantry 2-up strat on there. Just gives them efficiency into hordes, which is something I think we're going to see a fair amount of. I think the vehicle heavy meta right now is going to lead some people to play high volume of cheap infantry hordes as a kind of a counter to that meta. We've seen obviously the Imperial Guard infantry spam list did really well at LVO. We still have a Cursed Cultist Dark Communes. We still have a variety of Tyranids oftentimes will spam a bunch of cheap infantry. So having some things that can go into the frag is they can take advantage of that blast rule with a bunch of shots is really good. And having those, or doing 6 Cyclone shots off one of these squads, 6 crack missile shots. Again, when we're using our DeathWatch abilities, either the lethals or the sustained, we can punch up a little bit. And I do have a speeder in here to give me +1 to wound into vehicles and monsters, so we can take advantage of that as well. So they do have the ability to punch up a little bit. Of course, in combat, we've got so we've got 3 guys. They have Power Fist, Storm Bolters, and the Cyclones. I love that the heavy weapons don't replace the Storm Bolters and the Cyclones, so you just get a ton of extra shots. And then we've got 2 guys in 8 squads that have Thunder Hammers and Storm Shields. I think next time I run this, I will do 1 squad with just 2 guys with Storm Bolters. Again, just to get extra Storm Bolter shots. That's 8 extra shots that can go into a horde type situation. I think that might be valuable. But the Thunderhammer Storm Shield is good because it gives those guys an extra wound, pushing them from 3 wounds to 4 wounds. And there is a lot of flat 3 damage stuff out there. So just having them have the ability to tank a couple of those shots makes them really valuable. I don't really like the Thunderhammers because they hit on 4s. That's kind of a bummer. But I definitely like the extra wounds on these guys. So yeah, we got 2 squads of those. We do have a 6-man of Centurions, Devastator Centurions. These guys are strong. I've used them before on the channel. Their special rules, they reroll once to hit, and if the target's on an objective, they get full hit rerolls. Each one has a twin-linked las cannon, and each one has a D3 shots, strength 9, AP2, D3 damage missile that has blast. So again, they're good into large numbers of hordes and into medium and heavy vehicles with that twin-linked las cannon on there. In DeathWatch, we do have an uppy downy strat. We have a teleportarium strat, and it's nice because in DeathWatch, it actually gives the unit that you pick up deep strike. So the downside to the DevSense is that they have a 4-inch move. It's really hard to get them around the table if they're just chucking it, running on their feet. So the DeathWatch teleport strat allows them to pick up and deep strike anyone on the table outside of 9 inches, of course. That strat can be used on 2 kill teams or 1 non-kill team Space Marine infantry unit. So sometimes I'm using it. A lot of times the DevSense will get out there, shoot something, and then they'll tank a fair amount of damage when they get shot back at. So a lot of times I don't have to pick them up a second time. I can leave them kind of in place for a couple turns if they've got a good line of sight. I also frequently, when I'm running them, use the stratagem to put a unit into mission tactics. GW did FAQ this a little while ago that while non-DeathWatch units don't have the mission tactics keyword, the strat that allows you to put a unit into a mission tactic can be used on non-DeathWatch units. So for 1 CP, I can give the DevSense sustained, which just makes them even all the more stronger. And their Overwatch has been really strong when they're in sustained. If an enemy unit moves on or off of an objective, full rerolls to hit, 6s to hit, but their sustained has been super strong. This past weekend, I aced in Overwatch. I killed a full health Vindicator with a DevSense. I killed a full health Gladiator Reaper in Overwatch. The Overwatch threat from these guys is real strong when we got this sustained up. So, well, what else we got here? We do have the Indomitor kill team. My Indomitor kill team loadout is 3 Eradicators, so 2 Melter Rifles and a Multi-Melta. I have the Bolter Aggressors just because I like a little bit of extra range. Flamers are nice, but the Overwatch strat, I'm going to be saving for my DevSense, so I don't really need the Overwatch that the Flamers provide. So I just like the extra shots. And again, the blast from the grenades on top of the Aggressor Bolters is really strong. And then we've got 2 DeathWatch Bolt Rifles and 2 DeathWatch Heavy Bolters. The heavy bolters are hilarious because they are strength 5, AP 2, flat 3 damage. They have lethal and sustained all the time. And we know the Indomitor kill team, when it shoots its nearest eligible target, it's +2 strength. You can't really call it a heavy bolter anymore when it's strength 7, AP 2, flat 3 damage, lethal and sustained. I wish I could take a whole squad of these DeathWatch heavy bolters. That would be hilarious. They also get +2 strength on the charge, meaning the aggressors with their power fists get up to strength 10. And even just the bare hands get up to strength 6, which pushes them across several breakpoints for infantry and even tougher targets. So the Indomitors definitely have that ability to punch a little bit more with a variety of shots. It's kind of nice when I'm using the Indomitor, depending on the matchup, it will depend on which guys die first. You know, for example, if I'm going into a Horde meta and they shoot at my Indomitors, I might pick up the Meltas first. I might pick up the Eradicators first if they don't have good targets and leave the aggressors and the bolters there. Or on the opposite, if I'm going against a gun line and I'm not going to get those aggressors close enough to punch anything, then I'll pick them up first and save the Meltas and bolters for shooting at longer range. So a lot of flexibility with the Indomitor. And of course, in the recent points drops, they're down to 250. So a really strong price point there. Moving on, we do have a Talon Strike kill team. I love the Talon Strike just because, in this meta, a lot of times I'm playing against the Marines. And Marines have a lot of vehicles that have 2-up armor, but no invulns. And the fact is that the Talon Strike special rules, when they deep strike in, they get extra AP. So those Plasma Inceptors are AP2. When they overcharge, they're AP3. When they come in from deep strike, they're AP4. And DeathWatch have a strat to increase your range and AP by 1, making them AP5. Yeah, people don't like it when they're AP5 and they don't have an invuln. It definitely gives them a lot of punch. And the fact is that we have 5 Plasma Inceptors and 5 Jump Intercessors here. 3 of the Jump Intercessors have Plasma Pistols, meaning when we fire this squad off and overcharge, when we fail our hazardous rolls, we can pick them up on the little Jump Intercessors before we start picking up Inceptors. The other nice thing is that while this unit has equal or more of the toughness 6 Inceptors, it is considered toughness 6, so it's a toughness 6 unit, but you got some cheap little guys that can die off first. It's kind of some chaff there. And then finally, we do have 1 Storm Speeder Thunderstrike. The Storm Speeder Thunderstrike has 1 strength 12 shot, 2 strength 9 shots, and D3 little shots on top of that. After this speeder shoots something, the rest of your army gets +1 to wound if it is a monster or vehicle. DeathWatch kind of need this because a lot of our shooting is kind of mid-strength, efficient, but mid-strength. And because we are not Codex compliant, we don't get that +1 to wound into the Oath target. I wish the speeder was 25 points less. I think because Codex compliant chapters get +1 to wound into the Oath target, they should make this +1 to wound speeder a little cheaper for the non-Codex compliant units. I feel like 150 is a little much. I would like to see them at 125, but I'm definitely going to take them because we do have a vehicle heavy meta. And the fact that he can tag something and put a little bit of damage on him maybe, but at least give the rest of the army the ability to punch up. Those Talon Strikes, there's overcharged plasmas are strength 8, but when they get +1 to wound in a monster and vehicle, meaning they're wounding tough things on 4s with twin linked, gets much more efficient. So we love to see that. And the nice thing is the speeder still moves 14 inches and has fly. So if I'm going into something where I don't need the +1 to wound into vehicles as much, the fact that it can fly around, contest objectives at OC3, shoot a few elite infantry down, score me some secondaries by doing actions and that sort of thing, it's handy to have that there. So that's it, guys. That is the list. So a couple of weeks ago when I ran the DeathWatch in the Necrons, DeathWatch lost that game. I was running just the kill teams, no Terminators, no Dev Sense. And what I really found, while the kill teams have a lot of power, the range in their shooting is not very far. Sure, the heavy bolters can go 36 inches, but the Plasma Inceptors, the Eradicators, all locked to their 18 inches. You can give them +6 inches on with the strat, but a lot of times you're just not getting them where they need to go. So the Cyclone missiles on the Terminators being 36-inch range, the missiles being 36, and the las cannons on the Dev Sense being 48 gives me that extra long-range punch. And the fact is that the Terminators can do a lot of work because they do have high-value combat attacks. They have a high volume of shots from dealing with cheap infantry, and they can fire those crack missiles that can deal with light to medium infantry and vehicles. So really what we're looking for today is to see how the Terminators perform. Let's see if we keep them in our competitive DeathWatch list. But yeah, that's it. Follow me over to the post, or not the post game. Follow me over to the battle report. Let's see how they do today. And also you can check out the separate video I did about the tournament itself to see how they performed. Again, no spoilers, but we did fine. We did good. It was good to see. So, all right, catch you guys later. Have a good one.